I've never done this, but you've done this. You're a fucking actor. You can do the introduction. Simon, okay, it's too far.
This is going well.
Oh yeah, it's gone very well. Hello, I'm Simon Stevens, and this is Andrew Scott, BAFTA nominated. How did it feel this morning to get that text message? Or
it was great. I was thrilled. I was really thrilled. I'll say. Yeah, I was delighted.
Did BAFTA ring you?
Yes. Hello.
Hello, this is BAFTA.
This is BAFTA. No, my friend who works in. P.Y.T. texted me. I think they released it early in the morning. So yeah, it was really nice. Yeah, I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled.
My Twitter feed was full of it.
Was it?
Kind of like 20 different people saying, "Oh my god, oh my god!"
That's great. That's greght.
So,
how are you getting on with Twitter?
Yeah, I really, really love it.
Do you?
I really love it.
That's great.
I'm trying to build a Twitter persona, actually, of kind of being a bit of a psychopath. So
I don't know why you say Twitter.
I've been threatening to shoot foxes and things. Anyway, so we're not here to talk about shooting foxes. No. We're here to talk about Seawall at the Lyric Hammersmith. Can I say, this is the Lyric Hammersmith, where I am artistic associate. It's a beautiful, beautiful theatre.
Absolutely beautiful.
Designed by the architect Frank Matcham. And then put into boxes and moved down King Street in Hammersmith to this building. Yeah, it was. Yeah, because it used to be up the road, and then they knocked it down, and there was such a public outcry that they decided to break all the whole interior down into boxes and keep it in storage for 10 years. And then they opened up this building, which is a new building, which always looks a bit like a kind of 1970s sports centre. So you go through this strange building and turn the corner and you're here.
That's amazing.
Great, beautiful. Have you ever acted? You've not acted?
No, I've never acted here. No.
Do you like acting in proscenium arch theatres?
I do, absolutely. I absolutely adore it. I love really big theatres and really, really small theatres. But this is very... I always think there's a beautiful atmosphere in here. Like, I've seen really, really different work here, like the pantomimes and your plays, and it just most stuff really works here, doesn't it?
It's great. He knew how to. There's something very magical happens with this line. We're sitting right under the proscenium,
right? And
if you go on that side of the proscenium, the room feels huge, and if you come on this side, it feels really intimate.
God, how
so as an actor, you don't feel as though you've got to work the room, but as an audience, you feel like you're watching something enormous.
So it's got that epic feel. So do you extend it often?
Yeah, it can go right out. Yeah.
Yeah, totally irrelevant subjects.
Yeah, very good. So we should talk about Seawall. I think it's complete. I don't know about you. It's totally bowled me over, the response to Seawall on the World Wide Web.
It's been absolutely extraordinary, hasn't it?
It's just Andrew saying, other Andrew, saying they're down to, 10 sales a day. Yeah. Still.
Well, because we never ever thought that.
I thought 10 sales total.
10 sales.
10 sales. I'd be really happy.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's that really weird thing about doing it in really small spaces, and then so you forget that when you put something on film that like thousands of people can or millions of people, if they so wish, can watch it. I just find it extraordinary, and not just the amount of people, but the response. I mean, the kind of guttural response to it has been amazing.
People have been really moved.
Yeah, I think they have.
There's a tremendous sense of loyalty to it, which I find enormously gratifying.
Oh, it's amazing. It's really amazing.
So what we did was we went onto the Twitter sphere and we asked all our loyal fans if they had questions. And we got a load of questions, got 50 odd questions, and I think 53 of them are for you. And 2 of them are for me.
No.
And the 2 for me are, what's Andrew Scott like? And why do you talk so much on the YouTube?
Oh, that's what we were just saying is so funny about the last time, because I was so tired. Because we just filmed. Are you looking at the camera?
I'm kind of looking at the camera. I'm quite enjoying it.
The Simon and Andrew show. No, because
Troy and Abbott in the morning.
but the last time I was so. How many times did we do it? We did it 3 times. Seawall.
Yeah.
So I was like, and you had the directorial buzz after buzz.
Yeah.
So we had completely different energies.
So we've got equal energies now.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to ask you some questions, and because we've got some, reflective of the very high level of intelligence and emotional sensibility of our fans, we've got some really bloody good questions about the whole nature of acting and the filming and the play. And we're just going to work through them, and then if I have other questions that I want to ask you about. Quite a few of the people, like Android Scott and Emily Coxhead. Android Scott and Emily Coxhead were very interested in your method as an actor for the preparation of Alex.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in just in general. Do you have a kind of methodology to get into character?
I don't know. I wouldn't say, like, I would say for the most part I don't do any, I don't do very much research or anything like that. But that sort of changes depending on what the job is. So, if you can't. I had to do Paul McCartney in a. So you can't do Paul McCartney and think, no, I'm just gonna. Just
say the words.
Say the words. Yeah. You have a responsibility to do that, and there's certain things that are interesting to research on. But for the most part, I think it's good to know as much as the audience knows.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Because you can get way down. I did a play about the economic crisis and bankers and all that kind of stuff before, and we did a lot of stuff about going to the banks and learning about hedge funds, and it was really, really interesting. But by the end of it, you kind of think, you thought, is this in the play? Is this in the play? And is it important that the audience know that when I'm typing and I go yes? So eventually I was thinking, am I just happy typing, or am I sad typing? When I see something and you go, that's all I really need to know, or at least that's the most important thing to know, and then you can. You can have stuff, but the actual world of the play is much more interesting. But for Seawall, the most important thing, when I first read it, I knew a lot of your work before, and I think what was really, really important was to know it backwards, to know it really, really well. Because I suppose maybe the responsibility when you read something so brilliant is just to try and replicate the feeling that you had when you first read it, which is when your imagination is fullest, And I think because I knew it was originally written for a sort of a broken space season at the Bush, where I knew there was going to be sort of not much of a set or anything like that. So the preparation for it really was to learn it as much as possible and know exactly where every comma was, because it's so beautifully written and so naturally the way somebody might speak and the way somebody might present a story like this. So just to know that, and then actually you're not required really to do very much acting at all.
It's quite. In that sense, is it quite technical? Or
yeah, it is technical at the beginning. It's technical in order for it sort of not to be technical. And then I think then when we were rehearsing it a little bit, I think what was very important, because it was a one-man play, and that we were talking to the audience, either the film audience or the the theatre audience when we first did it, and how important it is to have that as a connection, that you look right at the people. I remember that's a very scary thing during rehearsal, is to go in and look directly at the audience, and not to be scared of really looking at somebody. And that's something that has stayed with me since doing it the first time.
Because what's interesting about that technique, I must credit some of these people here, but I'm really interested in this thing, that what you're saying you're not doing is you're not spending a lot of time thinking, who is Alex outside of the world of this play? He only exists in terms of those words. Do you kind of think about what Alex was like as a kid, for example, apart from not being able to spot planes?
No.
Do you ever do that when you're acting?
No.
Why not? Because there are some directors for whom that is completely the essence of their work, is imagining that backstory.
Yeah, I suppose it's just about what you need, really, isn't it? And I've never, I'm sort of I suppose a lot of the work that I have done, particularly in the theatre, has been with new writers, and I don't know. I feel like if it's there on the page, I don't need to. Not that I can understand why people do, but I don't need to. And I think if I don't think about that, then I don't block it out for the audience, you know, because I think they're allowed to have a feeling of what the relationship between what Alex's home life might be, or whatever it is. So if I just sort of superimpose that, even if the attempt of trying to do that just sort of alienates the audience, I feel somewhat. I just feel like just to keep it as open as possible, and then you can be as specific as possible with the words, and they can
imagine it themselves more completely. Yeah.